Alright, well this is Aaron Squire coming to you guys again this week. We got episode 41 for you tonight. I got Golden Saucer Guy making his triumphant return to the show. And we're going to be talking about some of the tunneling mechanics, some different hex news that's going on in the community. I'm going to go over a deck doctor with the Scraptech ramp deck that I've tried to work on. Also, we're going to go over some of the card spoilers that I did through my Twitter feed while at GenCON, and we're going to talk about the top decks from the Hex Techs tournament. So let's go ahead and swap over to the show here and start right in on this. So first things first, we're going to talk about tunneling. I did an interview with Dan, really quick one. I'm sure some of you guys saw it, posted out to my YouTube. Basically, the way tunneling works is you're going to pay 2, put a card face down, and it has a tunneling number on it. And every turn, you're going to put counters on the card. Your opponent will not know how many counters you need to get on the card for it to get turned face up. But once you get those counters, it will automatically turn itself face up. And a lot of times, it will have an additional effect, such as this Scraptech Brawler that you see here. He actually says when he enters play, you gain 3 resources. So, Golden Saucer Guy, I mean, you've looked at this a little bit. What do you think about this mechanic?
Yeah, it's neat. I like this card specifically because it's got some ramp potential. Tunneling seems good too. Again, us going back to some of the conversations we've had in the past, we're looking for Hex to give some things that are really original and unique to itself, and this is one of those things that looks really great, really unique. It looks like it's a pretty simple to implement. It's a nifty idea. I'm really happy with it.
Right. I mean, and this is another mechanic that would be very, very difficult to do in a physical TCG because you couldn't keep someone honest. I mean, we could do it like it's been done in other TCGs with a mechanic that said that no matter what, like you would turn a card face down and pay 2. And that was, I forget what that mechanic was called. That was a magic mechanic, and it was like it made a 2/2 troop. But that's completely like, that's the closest thing to this type of mechanic.
Right.
And this is like a different number for each card. You've got this guy's coming in 2 turns, this guy's coming in 1. This guy, if there are troops with flight in play, he can just destroy them, like on the attack. Yeah. I mean, it's basically a trap card. This Fisher-Smith guy. I mean, that's pretty neat that you could do that in this game.
Yeah, it adds a nice dimension to the game, and it's kind of cool because you look at it and you're like, well, we have right now maybe 3 or 4 cards specifically that are really kind of dominating and constructed, and by having more of these cards that have kind of unique abilities that are definitely not like a copy and paste of the normal kind of things we see, it's guaranteed to give a nice mix and blend of cards. I've seen very few people that have looked at these and have been very unhappy. I mean, it looks like we have stuff for PvE, PvP. It's gonna make constructed fun. It's gonna really ramp up some of the sealed and drafts and everything. So right. Yeah, kudos to them. Really great stuff.
Right, and it's very thematic because it only belongs to basically the dwarves or the Shinhair, 2 burrowing type classes or races, I guess. Two burrowing type races. So yeah, moving on, some of the spoilers, and they're talking about the convention. Here's what the convention looked like if you guys hadn't been there. Basically, this table on the first couple days was where all the drafting action was happening, and then all that stuff back there, that was where the league was happening. And then towards the end of the convention, what they did is they started throwing more and more drafts, and so they actually had 2 drafts running, and I believe towards the end on the last day they actually had 3 drafts running. Drafts were about $8, basically 4 tickets, which are $2 a piece. Also, if you guys want to see some pictures, make sure to go to the Hex update. This one is the August 15th update, and then click on the GenCON presence on Facebook, and there's a bunch of their pictures on there. Later on, I'm going to be doing some sort of a Facebook, or not Facebook, but basically I'm going to throw some pictures up on my Facebook. Yeah, I guess that's Facebook. And I'll do it on Twitter and other stuff too. Yeah, that's a separate video where I'll just be talking about GenCON in general. Golden Saucer Guy, really sorry you couldn't be there. I did get to meet a lot of people from the community. I don't know if you have anything to add to this or any questions for me.
I had a really great friend. My friend Chris, who was there, got me all the promo stuff I could have asked for. I got a poster. I got Brosi book. I got sleeves. I got the full, without other than things I would have had to have actually been there to do, playing and drafting.
Right.
I was lucky. I got the full load.
Speaking of
So
which, I actually did also get some of the stuff, so I went ahead. I have the poster behind me. I probably won't frame it very soon, and actually I don't know where the promo code is for it or how that was going to work. Like, everything's kind of a blur now. But I got the shirt, so you guys see, yeah, I'm all Shards of Faded out here. I also got the hat, so it looks like this, and then on the back it says Hex. So I think they want you to wear it backwards. They want you to take it back to maybe like the 90s when wearing your hat backwards was cool, because like the front, someone pointed out to me, says the word ho. And I think that's talking about like ho ho ho, like Santa Claus or something like that. So
that's probably it.
yeah, that's exactly what it's actually the H and then a, like a six-sided like hex shard, but other people might see something else on there. So yeah, so got some of the swag as I went there. I also spent way too much money on a bunch of other games while I was there.
Yeah, I had some friends pick up some stuff for me. I'm pretty happy. I got to get all the things I wanted, and I didn't have to spend $400 something a night for a hotel room.
$400 a night? Ugh, I don't know if it was that much. So then on the August 18th update, they said they're going to put all the codes in game, and I do have promos to give out. If we get enough people, if we get at least 20 people in channel, I will give away a broski buck tonight at the very end of the program. Or I actually have a Gax from last year if you want that instead. I have one Gax I can give away, but I'm definitely giving away some sleeves tonight. I have tons and tons of these. You got these just for signing up to play. Unfortunately, the codes don't work, because if you go to the next update where they talks about all the patches, at the very bottom it says the GenCON codes didn't make it in. So if you get the codes and you go to the game, don't message me back and be like, hey, the codes don't work, because they aren't in game. So of course they don't work. I also have some jovial pippets to give away as well. So I'll probably do that throughout some of my streaming and different stuff. I guess if you don't want the broski buck, I can give you a jovial pippet alternate art as well at the end of the program. So I didn't really see too much more than quality of life changes in these patch updates. Did you see anything that piqued your interest, Golden Saucer guy?
Nope, they just made stuff work, and at this point there's a couple things that are bugging me a little bit, so
right.
they fixed a few things. That's really great.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of still notice the fact that all the like Ragefire, like it doesn't update if it's in your hand still. Like,
right.
Have you noticed that? I mean, like little things like that where I know what it is. I know that when I cast one, the one in my hand is going to actually deal 4 damage, even though it reads 2. But
right.
Yeah, just little things like that.
Yeah, Relentless Corruption still doesn't work right, and some things like that.
I still kind of, I always scratch my head like when it is that something that was working perfectly fine, like in alpha, it suddenly isn't working now, and it's probably because of some other change that had repercussions on it because they changed the way they coded something. But
right.
it kind of boggles my mind a little bit. Moving on to the Hex Techs Open. This was on the GenCon weekend, so they did this on purpose, so all the people that were at GenCon couldn't participate in it. No, they didn't. They didn't do it on purpose. I'm sure that they just wanted to make sure that they had a good showing, and I believe that they did. They had like maybe close to 100 people. I don't know exactly.
I don't remember the total. They had a good showing. I was on the first day of the tournament. I was on for about an hour with the guys, kind of hanging out, talking about the new cards and a lot of stuff that's going on, commenting on some of the decks that we had seen, some interesting things. It was a good tournament. I was actually really proud of those guys. They did a great job. I can't wait for them to do more. They're working on some big stuff. I know that. So, kudos to them.
So for the most part, we saw a lot of more of the same that we had seen. Like, you could argue that, like, for instance, this no nonsense or nonsense deck is something new, but it's pretty much a Gore Feast deck. What he just made different choices on it. However, this, like the first one, Deck of Many Things, is somewhat new. I mean, Blood Sapphire Control has been around. This one just runs a ton of troops in it. Some of the interesting choices are like Bone Warrior in here. It's very interesting because it combos off of Mirror Knight a little bit, because when it dies, you're going to draw that card, then you can bring it back from the dead. You can also kill it with Extinction and not have to worry about it too much. So, kind of neat as a card drawing engine. It also runs the Darkspire Priestess, mostly probably to thin the deck out. so you can draw into a lot more quality stuff. And the Eldritch Dreamer is probably its finisher, really, more than anything else. You probably defend that. I guess you could defend it with Time Ripple more than there's no counter magic in this deck, which is kind of interesting to me. So what did you think about this deck?
Well, I like the deck. I kind of overall with the top 8, and just seeing how the tournament went, it kind of seemed like this is the tide of only having a base set. Like it flows in one way and it kind of flows back out. We're seeing these cards coming back up again. You know, the next time we see a tournament, we're going to see a few changes to kind of deal with a lot of the stuff that we saw in this one. I mean, with having such a limited one set thing, people are getting bored with it.
Yeah.
You know, what are we going to see? We're going to see variations of the things we know are good.
We're
going to see
Gore Feast. We'll see Blood Diamond Control. More Gore Feast. Future had an interesting one here. This one's Gore Feast, but he decided to run some more of the, I guess, Inspire troops in this one. So it's like Inspire Gore Feast. Somewhat interesting. He also has a Legionnaire. So I guess that's kind of like to kind of blow out a lot of the other Gore Feast decks, because this would definitely do it. If you only have one Inspire troop on the board, Legionnaire Gawain could blow out your opponent.
Yeah, and that's what he did. It was kind of like a mini extinction kind of a thing. It worked out really well for him.
Then we've got, this is probably the most interesting deck out of all the decks, the one that interested me the most, and a lot of other people, in fact. It's running the Midnight Shepherd, so it runs 5 of the different shards. It's basically Blood Diamond Control with Midnight Shepherd and Lixil for fixing.
Yeah, I had my eye on him. He actually was in first place for pretty much the entire event till top 8, and ended up losing in the first round, second round. But it was really crazy stuff.
And of course, you know, what is this? This one's kind of interesting. This is a Gas Troll deck. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really see. This seems more like a fluke than anything else to me. It's just another
good matchups.
Yeah, maybe good matchups. It's another Gore Feast deck. It runs Crushing Blow, which is kind of interesting. And then Eladrimy, the winner of the last HexTCG Pro tournament, ran almost the same deck. He decided to main deck an Eternal Guardian, which probably hurt him with all the Gore Feast that's out there. Eternal Guardian doesn't seem like it would be that great in the Gore Feast meta. The Storm Colossus by itself is kind of a stretch. Sapper's Charge is like, I played a deck similar to this, and Sapper's Charge is kind of a big deal in the Gore Feast matchup. So if anything, I would probably main deck 2 of those. But they did have reserves available during this tournament, and somehow they kept it honest.
Yep. Yeah, they had, people were being kind of like judges more or less, and you know, there was different ways of checking the game. They definitely did some more unique things. I hope in the future we see something where we can apply to do tournaments like we have today, like we had.
Well, best of 3 matches. Yeah, I mean, I did talk to the guy that's basically the upper management that controls a lot of like the direction on like prioritizing where things go, and he asked me what was the highest priority thing that I wanted, and I said best of 3 matches and in-game trading. He said, well, then our priorities are right. So so it's a priority for them, just like it's a priority for us, you know. And so that's good. So I think that's about it for the news, really. So we can actually move right into the deck, and that actually went pretty quick. I didn't actually expect it. Oh no, we have one more thing. We're going to go through some of the spoilers. I forgot about this. So some of these are blurry. I'm just going to apologize about that up front. Let's go ahead and flip back to the first one. It starts with the artifacts here. Yeah, right here.
Sure.
So these are just cards I took and I spoiled on my Twitter feed. So we'll just kind of go through these. Charge Hulk is a 3/2. When it enters play, it says gain 2 charges, cost 4. He's pretty good. I think he was going to be pretty good in ramp. Unfortunately, his back end makes him susceptible to being swept out with what's it called?
Heat Wave.
Heat Wave. Yeah. So I wish he had a 3-point back end, but you know we can't always get everything. I mean, I would have been better off with him being a 2/3 and doing the same thing. But the 2 charges is great because we can run the champion, what is his name? The
damage equal to artifacts.
Yeah, damage. Yeah, he deals. He's point and click damage where it's equal to the cost of an artifact in play. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you're playing If you're on 4, you drop the charge and you play him. You've gained 3 charges in a round. That's pretty big. 3/2s, not bad. 2 defense, obviously a little bit susceptible, like you said. But look at it this way too. If you're playing a deck where you reduce his cost down to 3, now you're at a 3/2 on 3. That's not so bad. Still susceptible. However, it's a good body on board that moves your game ahead pretty quickly. So, yep, thumbs up.
Next one, Inductocopter Bot. This says flight. When it attacks, you gain a charge, a 1/1. I think this guy is going to be amazing, especially in draft play. He's got that evasion that we like to see, and he's going to get you multiple activations on your charge powers. If you hadn't noticed from a lot of the spoilers that we saw, they are really pushing this charge thing on a lot of the set 2 cards. Like, that is the thing, like gaining charges and getting more stuff from your champions. So this is going to make a lot of those champions that were virtually unplayable maybe a little bit more playable, like Paulinus, who gives, for 8 charges, gives us a 6/6 Squirrel Titan with Crush that has to attack every turn, or the other guy, the guy with the land. Where he looks for the land. I forget what his name is.
Right. Yeah, I can't think of it either.
Yeah. Any more thoughts on that guy?
Nope. Looks good. Looks great. Can't wait to have it.
All right. So this was my rare. Actually, I drafted this rare twice, or rather, it was in 2 of my packs. Unfortunately, in my pool, so I had a pretty bad time of it. It's pretty blurry, so I'll just tell you what it says. It's 4. It's called Tome of Knowledge. It says you have no maximum hand size. While you have 7 or more cards in your hand, you can pay 1, I believe, or 2, exhaust this, and then draw a card. So it basically allows you to draw cards every turn. It's probably not the greatest. I mean, it's okay for a control deck, maybe as a 1-of, but 7 cards is a lot to ask for someone to have in hand, even for a control player. So any thoughts on that one?
No, I don't think it's all that great. Maybe we might find some great use for it. Yeah.
That's the guy. Yeah, thank you, Osiri. Right, so moving on. Reactor Bot, this actually costs... It cost 3 or 1? I think it costs 3. So it costs 3. When you gain a charge, it gets +2/+2 this turn. And this is another one where you, again, play into that charges. You're going to want to play a lot of charge-type things in your deck. You basically activate it, and he's an offensive troop, not really going to be defensive. Although you could get defensive with him, because there are cards that allow you to gain charges on your opponent's turn at quick action speed. So you could block with this guy as a trick. It is possible. And we'll see that card later. So any more thoughts on this guy?
Yeah, I really like him. Actually, I like him quite a bit. I like the idea of having an inexpensive troop that can be kind of like the quality in stats as a late game play. Like if you get 2-3 charges in a turn, you're looking to have a 7/7. That's really good. So I mean,
cost 2.
Cost 2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He got his cost increased on this picture. So sorry about that.
Still, yeah, so he costs 2 coming out, so it's a 1/1. So let's say, the next turn you gain your normal charge from playing a card. You have a 3/3 for 2. That puts him out of range of being burned. Or if you respond to something, someone heat waves, respond with something that lets you gain a charge. Bam, he's out of the range of your heat wave. So I like this card a lot. I don't know if he'll be played a ton, but he looks neat.
Yeah, Farney is the other champion. You're completely correct, Osiri. Yeah, that's the one that I had played in a Wild Ruby deck where I had run a bunch of artifacts and things. Moving on, we got Electroid, which is 1 for a 3/4 that does nothing for you until you have at least 4 or more dwarf or robot troops. Now, he does count himself, so that does help somewhat, and he is pretty beefy body to deal with, and he's an artifact, which we know we can't murder. So, I mean, he's decent. It's just one of those things where you kind of have to play with Bertram the Cragraven. Like, this guy screams, if you don't play with Bertram, you will. I probably won't do anything for you, but sit on the board and stare at your opponent. Now, there are other cards that allow you to sacrifice your artifacts, and so you might have to use them in that way. But he is pretty good. So, anything else to say to that?
Nope. I think someone might come up with a deck where he's good in it, but I think he's going to be too difficult. I mean, if you have 4 or 5 on board, someone kills 2, and he's no longer an attacker or blocker that round. So,
right.
Yep.
Well, you would have to do it. So you would have to do it before attacks were declared.
Right.
In order to do that, as far as attacks. So do keep track of your attack phases and that type of thing, because once he is attacking, he's attacking. It doesn't matter if there's less stuff.
Yep. Blast him pre-combat. Boom. No more attacker. So.
Right. Exactly. Moving on, feeding the young ones. It says create 2 battle hoppers and put them into play. Then deal 1 damage to target troop for each shin hair you control. It's a basic action speed, so you have to use it in one of your either your first or second main phase. It's pretty slow. This is probably not going to see constructed play, but we'll probably see it somewhat as removal in that one-off shin hair deck that is in blood in draft. Any more thoughts on that?
It's a really great card, but not for constructed.
Thematically, I think it's great.
Yeah. I would rather, be able to gain life off of what do you call it, the equal to how much blood threshold you have.
Right. Yeah.
I'd rather have that over this.
Yeah.
So, but it's still a cool card, and let me call out saying the artwork is phenomenal. So.
Right. I agree. Moving on, Wretched Wrangler. I think this says 1 shot. Discard a card, create 2 battle hoppers, and put them into your hand. Now, this doesn't seem like it's very important, but we're going to see in a few minutes that it is important because there's a guide that says when shin hairs enter your hand, they get +1/+1. Battle hoppers also kind of got a buff because there's a guy that now says your battle hoppers now become 1/2s. That was spoiled last time I did a show, I believe.
Yep.
So Battle Hopper's got a lot better with that card in play. So, I mean, this guy's all right. He is a 2/2 body, so that's not too bad. Any more thoughts on him? And this is for free. This 1 shot is for free. So as soon as you drop him, you can do his ability.
Right. I love the synergy with other Shinhair stuff. I'm sure at some point I will be in draft and I will draft a mono blood Shinhair and love every second of it.
Yeah.
Outside of that, probably just fun games. And okay, that's not to be said. Like, I just want to make sure people understand out there. Just because I like or dislike a card doesn't mean it's bad or good. I mean, I have a lot of decks that are just meant to be fun. I'm sure someone's going to make a really fun mono blood Shinhair deck, and it's going to be really enjoyable.
Moving on, we got the Mazet Spearman. Now, I just want to point something out. This is most likely an Orc troop, but at the convention, a lot of the cards were kind of in their alpha stages, and some of the stuff wasn't even working right. So this guy is probably an Orc, even though it doesn't say he's an Orc. There were other cards that were triggering like they were a specific troop type, even though it didn't say it on the card. So yeah, so this guy is an 0/1 with Rage 1 for 1 and 1 blood threshold. When you swing with him, he's going to get a little bit bigger with that Rage 1. He was basically what the Shinhair, what's it called, used to be.
Shinobi,
the whatever it is.
Samurai.
The O2 that has Rage 1. He's basically the same thing as that, but he's going to be an Orc. So, I mean, he's all right. I don't know that I would necessarily draft him. I definitely wouldn't play him constructed. But yeah, the thing is, like, I would want to throw Swift Strike on this, which would put me in Ruby, and Ruby has probably far better things it can be doing for 1. Any more thoughts from you?
Maybe some really fun decks involving synergy. Maybe this will be a really cool Orc deck for PvE, but in the meantime, constructed, no thanks.
Yeah. If you need a 1-drop Orc blood card, I guess this is okay. But yeah, I mean, if you can get along with something else, then probably go with something else. Here's the Cockatrice. Now, we've seen this quite a bit. This is how somebody gemmed him against me, and this guy was really annoying to deal with. I actually went 1-2 and lost in my first round on my draft, and I almost lost to this guy in my second game. And then in the third game, he popped up again, and I think he just put him in such a great position. It was crazy. But I mean, Swift Strike Rage 1 seems like an amazing way to gem this guy, but there's a ton of other things you could do with this. You can see he's a 5/2 here. I believe he starts as a 3/2 for 5, so he's somewhat expensive, but in the limited sense, like, doing something like this is pretty ridiculous. Any thoughts, Golden Saucer guy?
Yep. Love it. I want more of it.
Alright, so moving on. The Darkspire Punisher says it's a 3 for 2 blood threshold, 2/2. When this troop dies, choose 1 at random. Each opposing champion discards a card at random, or search your deck for a troop with Darkspire in the name and put it into your hand. Now, this kind of diverges from the last Darkspire card, because the last one just simply takes a Darkspire card out of your deck randomly and puts it into your hand. This one allows you to actually search. Now that wording may not be what they had meant, and they may actually want it to be random, but you know, that remains to be seen. I didn't actually get his ability to trigger, so I can't tell you how it actually worked in game. So anything else to add on to that?
I like the Darkspire stuff. I'm running Darkspire things in a bunch of decks right now, and I really, really want to do a Blood Sapphire deck with lots of Darkspire and all the other fun stuff.
Right. This picture I took off of Guerre's monitor when he was drafting. Actually, Guerre did get me my one draft for the thing because I didn't manage to get any tickets for it. His stipulation was if I had won that I give him the special poster. Of course, I did not win, but yeah, it is what it is. Anyways, this is when he was drafting. It's two diamond threshold Highlands Shinobi. It's a 2/2. Has Swift Strike, and it says when you gain a charge, exhaust target troop. It's not enough that this troop is just a 2/2 with Swift Strike, because that would have been fine. That would have been perfectly fine. Not only that, it exhausts troops. I mean, this is going to be a high-level draft pick. Of course, this is a rare card, so I do understand all of that. Cards like this that I've seen in other card games are typically like uncommons or really, really good, highly sought-after uncommons. But that gain a charge, when you gain a charge, exhaust target troop really puts it into that rare level. So anything to add to that?
Nope, I think people should probably seek this card out early on, not because it's going to rise in a lot of value, but it's going to maintain good value. It's just so good. The only thing that maybe slows it down is the double diamond, but even that, you know, with so many cards now giving you threshold in two colors, I mean, that's this card so good.
Darkspire Enforcer is boring. This was another one that Guerre had. This is a Duskwing Outrider. He's 5, 2 diamond threshold, life drain and flight. He's a 3/1. Seems pretty decent because he's going to be able to hopefully push through some damage. If you had to, you could trade with him in the air. He is common, so you're going to see him quite a bit. Life drain is kind of a big deal when you're talking about draft, because a lot of times what ends up happening is you end up erasing your opponent, and this guy, anything with life drain is going to race very well. So anything to add to that?
Yeah, I don't know how much I like it. Just like I really don't like the 1 defense. I really like flying life drain though at 3 damage, but at 5 costs, definitely a common. I don't know. I mean, we didn't see a whole lot of quality flying.
It's definitely not a constructed card, but you know, in draft, I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I would pick it up on the 4th pick, sure.
Yeah, positives. I mean, you have other stuff that runs off gaining life, so it could have some nifty synergistic combos.
Yeah. Moving on, Light of Hope. It says target troop you get gets +1/+1 and life drain this turn. Pretty vanilla. I mean, I don't think there's very much else to say. It is a quick action, so you can use it as a combat trick. Anything else?
It's a combat trick.
It's a combat trick. Moving on, Drakengard Stalwart, defensive 05. He's a wall. Nothing else to say.
I like control deck stuff. I like that it costs 2 for 5 defense. Look at what we have out so far. We have a lot of things where at the very most you have 1 defense higher than their cost. This is just 3 defense higher than their cost, and it's super easy to cast. So maybe we're going to see some Diamond Sapphire control decks with a few little guys in here to keep themselves from taking lots of damage. Who knows?
Krakengard Seapri says, Inspire. As a troop with a cost equal to or greater than this troop's cost enters play under your control, it gets permanent +0/+2. For 3, this guy is decent. It's another Inspire card. We heard that Inspire was going to be in this set, but not like a huge focus like it was in set 1. This guy's okay, pretty decent in draft. I mean, he's going to give you a lot of back end, which is what Diamond does best, or is supposed to do best. They're supposed to have high-level back ends. But you know, he's pretty vanilla. I don't know. I pick him up maybe in 7th or 8th, 9th pick, somewhere in there. If I'm in Diamond, it's not overly stellar. I don't see him making constructed play.
Nope. The best thing I can say about this card right now is that it gets you out of some of your troops out of the range of Heatwave, but it doesn't even save him. So how much is that helping you? Right.
So here's our sort of combat trick. If you had that robot out that we talked about before that gets +2/+2 when you gain a charge, you could. I have used Crackling Boon as a combat trick in that way. It says gain 4 health and gain a charge. This is the type of card that you might see in Zubrin's deck, where it is that he's doing Infinite Fog. You might see it in there maybe as a 1 over a 2 of or something. Of course, it doesn't do as good a job as what is it? The other health gaining, the escalation health gainer.
Yeah.
It doesn't do as good a job.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't play it very often. I might play it in my reserves in draft, and that would be about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there might be something we're missing if we see a couple champions that have some really solid early stuff, and you're looking at gaining 4 health. Maybe that extra charge is really good, but don't see it yet. So
Yeah. I mean, at
don't
least
really
it
like
does
the art.
more for your board state than just gaining health. I mean, you gain a charge, so that's something.
Right, right.
That's like gain 4 health, draw a card almost, you know. I mean, draw a card is definitely way better, but gain a charge, you know, in this game, you know, we're still seeing that becoming a thing. Moving on, we got Prophet of Ren. He says, when you gain a charge, gain 2 health. So this guy, miles ahead of the last card that we just looked at. He's a body.
Right.
Means he's more removable, but he is a body that's going to gain you health over and over again. I mean, you drop your shard for the turn, you're gaining health. Pretty ridiculous, pretty amazing in draft. I'd say he's probably a pick 2 or 3 for me if I'm in Diamond.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
3/3. That's good for 4 costs. That's not bad at all. Plus, you gain some health. That just seems good. Plays off other things. Plays off the knight that when you gain health, he gets a +1/+1 permanently. Just neat stuff.
I can just like tank damage for a while, you know.
Right. Yeah.
This is probably one of my favorite cards that I've seen that was spoiled. Psychotic Anarchist is 2 for 2 ruby threshold, is a 2/2, has speed, so when it comes into play it can attack. When this troop deals damage to opposing champion, each champion draws a card. So we've already seen cards like this with the wherever it is, the 2 cost constant that each player draws more cards. So you could use this guy synergistically with that card, and you could maybe go for a fog type of deck where you're trying to make your opponent draw out all their cards. This actually makes that more of a thing. Or you could use him in conjunction with the other guy that his power and toughness is +1/+1 for each card in your opponent's hand.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, he works with a lot of those things. Even in a control deck, I could run him and, you know, I sweep the board out, and then the next turn I could put him into play and then draw some more cards. At that point in time, hopefully I draw enough control cards where it doesn't matter if my opponent draws cards. Plus I have a threat on the board. So, anything else you need to add to that?
Yep, looks good. And I think one of the things about this is we're going to find later on down the road this card is even better with some mixing with some cool combos and things like that. So I think it's going to be good.
Right. I mean, maybe if there's a way to also make your opponent discard cards every turn, every time he deals damage, so then they draw and discard. That would be pretty fun.
Maybe we'll see some Blood Diamond Mill combos. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Mill is, they keep trying to press Mill to make it competitive, and so we keep seeing things that maybe help that out a little bit, and that's one of the cards that sort of does, even though it's not really in the Mill Shard, which is Sapphire. Moving on, the Hired Horned Sellsword is 3 and 2 ruby threshold. It says Crush. When this dies, it deals 4 damage to each opposing champion who controls no troops. And he's a 4/2. So this is really important in our metagame of lots of sweeps, because a lot of times the person that's doing the sweeping doesn't have troops in play. And this guy's going to deal that 4 damage. So at the very least, when you play him for 3, you get 4 damage to the face on your opponent. And when you're trying to push through lots of damage and just finish the game out and close it out quickly against that control player, this could be a really key card. So I could definitely see this coming in as a reserves card in that matchup. I'm not sure if I would main deck more than 2 of it. I don't know. It is 3 for a 4/2, which is really good. So anything else to add on to there?
4/2 for 3 with Crush, even ignoring his ability. That's just fun.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess I could. Yeah, you probably could safely 4 of this card. Yeah, I mean, it's 3. So, I mean,
how
your
often
Mono Ruby deck.
Yeah, first of all, how much Crush do we see in Mono Ruby? Even then, how many cards with a 4/2 power do we see at 3 costs?
Right.
Just seems like he has potential to be really good.
Give him Ruby Aura, Swift Strike on top of that.
Right.
Seems pretty amazing. Moving on, Mentor of Flames. Everyone's really stoked about this guy. There's this Mentor cycle, which is going to place cards in your hand when they die, and this guy is no different. For 4 and 1 ruby threshold, when it dies, it transforms into Burn and puts that in your hand. Burn, if you didn't know, is a 2-point damage to the face or damage to target troop card that costs 1 and 1 ruby threshold. This troop is a 3/2, so he's a pretty decent body. I think he's really great for the deck actually that we might be building tonight, which is a wild ruby type of deck. So I think he really goes well in the ramp deck as well as the mono ruby burn to the face deck. I'm not sure if I would main deck more than 3 of them though in the constructed sense. Of course, this guy is a must pick when you're talking about constructed, or I mean non-constructed.
Right. Even then, I have some deck ideas I've been playing around with already in theory crafting, and I have listed one of them: burned if you do, burned if you don't, and I just like everything about this card. I mean, literally, it's like you swing in for him. They either take 3 or you're going to get a burn out of it. I mean, that just seems... I don't know how you could turn that down. Yeah.
I'm actually sat on board states where I'm like, I need to save my troops. And if he swings and I block his Mentor of Flames, now I'm in burn range, and he has resources up, so I can't block his Mentor of Flames.
Right. I mean, the only thing that really saves you from this card is the fact that he costs 4. Like, that's the only thing about that. Like, and even then, 4 for a 3/2, that's not so hot. But at the same time, you get a burn out of it.
Yeah, very similar to like a Bloodbraid Elf almost.
Yeah, you have to respond to this troop in some form or fashion. You can't just let it go.
Yeah. Moving on, Crackling Bolt. I saw a lot of chatter in chat about this. Yes, this is an amazing card. 2 for and 1 ruby threshold, deal 3 damage to target champion or troop, plus gain a charge. And it's a basic action speed. It would have been nice to have that at quick action speed, but you can't get everything you want. But
still love it.
Pretty good. Still pretty good.
Yeah, especially with the champion, where you're, depending on how many artifacts you have, throw a couple of these in there. You're doing 3 damage to a troop. You're cleaning off the board. You're gaining a charge, possibly activating another ability. Yeah, it's a basic action, so you don't get any on their turn trick stuff. But still, man, how do you not like
so during Alpha, Poke Power used to cost 3, and it went up to 4 because we broke it. Because John broke it basically during one of the tournaments, and it's probably best that it did because of cards like this. Because in Mono Ruby, when you can Crackling Bolt on turn 2, that means you can Poke Power on turn 3. You could, or you could actually, no, you can Poke Power. Yeah, you could Poke Power on turn 3. If you could Poke Power on turn 2, I mean, that would be just, I don't know.
Well, let's think about this for a second. Shard on turn 1, play that little troop that gives you the 1/1, gives you a charge. Turn 2, Crackling Bolt. Plus your thing, you're sitting on 4 charges.
Yeah, I don't know that I would want to play that troop. I don't think that would be advantageous. But Poke Power on turn 3 is pretty good. Of course, you still want to maybe save it for Gore Feast, depending on what your hand looks like. But still really good.
Yeah, so it's possible to do it on 2.
It is possible, yeah. And there's also a double charge land. There's basically double colorless energy. Moving on. Fierce Warlord, it says when it enters play, troop you control with cost 1 or less gets permanent +1/+1. So you kind of have to pick your spots when you're going to play this guy. This makes cards like whatever it is, the Yeti, the Yeti with haste, or with not haste, but speed. That makes him a little bit better. But it says cost 1 or less, so that means that you could have something that is actually, it doesn't matter if it's a 1/1 or not. If its cost is 1 or less, then you could do that. So you could actually use some other dwarf cards to reduce things like Terabot could be a 0, and it could actually pump your Terabot for you. So, just some things to think about with this guy. She seems decent. Yeah. She's pretty solid.
I don't know what to think with it yet. I haven't come up with anything I would really do. Something that really needs to have that 1/1. Yeah.
Gastrol,
maybe
for sure.
Get it out of range of some of these sweeps, maybe. But yeah.
Yeah, and like the MD Tobin says, Gastrol will be amazing because it gives it +2, because Gastrol will activate off of the Ruby, and then she will buff him as well, which gets it out of range of Heat Wave. Moving on, Arena Regular. When you gain a charge, this deals 1 damage to each opposing champion. It's pretty good, probably better in Limited than it is in Constructed. I don't know, it depends. Like with Crackling Bolt, it seems pretty good. Get that, extra points of damage, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's basically a 2/1. So, anything else?
Yeah, no, I don't really like it.
Yeah, I'm not really into it, but it seems okay. I don't know. Next, Cannon Volley, 6 and 1 Ruby Threshold. Deal 2 damage to target champion or troop, and you can do that 3 different times. It is basic action speed, and it costs a lot. So this seemed pretty good in as removal when you're talking about drafting, but in constructed, it might be at best a one-of in your reserves for a specific situation, and that's about it. I think that's the only thing I can think of for it. Luckily, it's just an uncommon.
Yeah, it seems like a really expensive heat wave that doesn't hit your stuff.
Yeah. Moving on, Fire Soul Wizard is Swift Strike at a 4/2, pretty vanilla for 5. I mean, it's okay. Anything else to add to that?
Nope.
Yeah.
Seems okay at best.
Yeah, this is a filler card. Adrenaline Rush is 1 target troop you control gets +3/+0 and Swift Strike this turn. Not as good as Ruby Aura, in my opinion, because Ruby Aura stays. And it keeps the Swift Strike. So, I mean, it's a combat trick. It's removal on the attack and on the defense, just like Ruby Aura. It does it a little bit better for the turn, but it doesn't remain. So, I don't know. I'd still rather do Ruby Aura. Anything else to add?
Yeah, I think I like Ruby Aura more, but I might be able to come up with some reasons to use it.
Yeah, and also it costs 3. At least it's a quick action.
Right.
Ridge Raider, when you control another Orcus, has +1/+1. Pretty vanilla, standard type of creature. Works well with the troop we had before where she buffs your 1/1, so you could be a 3/3 with her in play. Anything else to add, really?
Nope, looks neat.
Yeah, it's pretty vanilla-ish. Cavern Guard is a wall.
Yep. You know, there's one thing I can say about it. It costs 1, it's a 0/4, and it has the ability to attack. I don't know why you would or when you would.
Right.
But you know, I looked at this card and thought, why does this card exist? And then I kind of thought about all these times that I wish I had this card in like some kind of mill deck or some, you know, control deck where all I need is that early blocker to keep me alive, and that might be it.
Yeah. Snare Trapper is really blurry. I'm really sorry about that. It's a 3/2 Sapphire Threshold. It's a 2/3. It says when a Shinhair becomes exhausted, it can't ready during its controller's next ready step. So this is a counter Shinhair meta card, and most likely it's a Coyote, even though it says Troop. I guess this is telling us that we should watch out for the Shinhair, maybe, more than it's talking about itself. I don't know. What do you think about this?
I think that at some point someone was looking at all the Shinhair cards they created and said, we need to put something in here that at least puts a little bit of fear in some broken Shinhair combo.
Moving
Sideboard
on.
at most.
Phoenix Guard Messenger is a 1/1 for 2 with flight. When it leaves play, draw a card. I really like this card. I really like playing it. I think I drafted it a little bit in my draft deck, but you know, pretty vanilla. You could sweep it out with Extinction and draw a card. Seems nice. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I dig it. I dig it a lot, actually. I like the idea of giving it a +1/+1 to all your flying creatures with it. I like that if you take care of it, they get to draw a card.
It doesn't actually give +1/+1s. You're saying if I gave a +1/+1 to it. Is that what you're saying?
Well, what I'm saying is there's a card that all flying creatures get a +1/+1.
Right,
I mean, so there's got potential all over the place. This card will probably see some play somewhere.
Moving on, Crackling Wit. I really like this card. It says draw a card, gain a charge. This is probably one of the best gain a charge cycle cards that I've seen yet. I mean, this has combo written all over it, and you know me, I love putting together combos. So definitely going to see this. This is going to see play somewhere, and it's just going to take time for us to figure out what to do with it. It's probably not going to see play competitively immediately, but eventually I think it will.
Nope, this card's on my list of cards that I plan on staring at for days and figuring out what cool thing I can do with it.
Yeah, it could break the game. Not literally, but you know, somewhat. Moving on, Town Crier. So people were really a bit baffled about this, if it was really going to be good or not. It's 4, it has 1 Sapphire Threshold, it's a 2/2. When it enters play, draw a card for each human you control. Most likely it's going to be a human. When you then choose and discard 2 cards. So, I don't know, maybe if Inspire is a thing, or humans, or just some sort of humans deck. Seems decent with a lot of what we already have with humans, so, I mean, I guess it's okay, but I don't know, maybe a 1-of, a 2-of. It draws cards. Yeah. That's what you do with it.
I'm really with it until the discard 2 cards part, and that is what makes you kind of scratch your head a little bit and go, all right, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to play this?
Right. And none of these cards are going to necessarily hit the market this way. You know, they can change. We still are a month out. The word on the street that I heard the devs talking, overheard them talking, they said because of the bugs that we saw at GenCon, it's going to be at least another month. So that means that the HexTCG Pro Tournament is going to basically just be set 1. So, moving on, Zodiac Divination is 5, 2 Sapphire, and target champion draws 3 cards. These cards get permanent cost -1 is what that actually says. Seems pretty good. Amazing card engine. It is not legendary. I believe it's rare. So, yeah, good for those control decks that maybe has a 2 of maximum. Anything else to add to that?
I love it. I can't wait to use it. It looks like I am coming up with fun ideas already.
Moving on, we got Keeper of the Wounded Petal, which is a 1/1 wild threshold. When the Shinhair enters your hand, it gets permanent +1/+1. This is the card that works with the Blood card that we previewed earlier. This guy is definitely a must 4 of in every Shinhair deck. He's an early drop that could get out of hand relatively quickly, and he can get out of Heat Wave range fairly easily. So, anything else to add to that, really?
No, we needed a couple more Shinhair cards that had potential to grow, and we got one.
Yeah. Surprise Runt Gang. I think we've seen this picture before, right? It says quick action for 3 and 1 wild. You get 3 Battle Hoppers, put them into play. So this would be neat with the other card that we previewed last show, where it makes them into 1/2s. But other than that, like, you know, it's basically more Battle Hoppers. We saw a lot more Battle Hopper production at GenCon, so I'm pretty happy to see that. It's just like, what do we do with the Battle Hoppers that we need to figure out? So, anything else to add, Dan?
Yeah, I'm waiting to see if we get anything that has to do with them coming into play. Like, what do we have that hits, you know, stuff like that, because it's possible that this could be a really good card, but we don't know yet.
Moving on, Bucktooth Banner Bunny is 3 and 1 wild threshold. It says 1 shot, and I believe it's for 1 or maybe 2. Troops you control get +2 front end and +0 back end this turn. He's a 2/2. He's decent. He's probably not as good as Bucktooth Commander, because that's more of a permanent effect. Plus, he's basically going to cost you 4 or maybe 5 to get his effect all in 1 turn. So, I don't know. I don't think this guy is really super constructed playable in the Bunnies deck. If he is, he's probably a 1-of, just as an extra front end Anthem effect. Anything else to add there?
I think he's actually pretty good. I like the idea of all these cards that produce Shinhair really quickly. So if we do some real quick math here, we're looking at like turn 4, turn 5. If you don't get sweeped, they don't deal with it, you might have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 1/1 or 0/1 Shinhairs out.
Right.
You're talking about 2 damage on all that. That's like, if you have 5 out, that's 10 damage from other troops are getting.
Sure.
Or, you know, an additional 10 on top of whatever they are base.
When you don't get swept out or they don't respond to this guy. Yeah.
Right. So it might make constructed interesting.
Ask. Just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, not getting swept out, have someone play so they don't interrupt your board state whatsoever. I know, but still, yeah, maybe some Shinhair decks sneak into top 8s.
Moving on, Blossoming Concubunny says 1 shot, create a Battle Hopper and put it into your hand. Now, I believe this costs 0. So this you can do as soon as she comes into play, or you can actually wait, and maybe if she gets killed, you can respond to that. It's a nice, another 1/1. It's basically 2 card advantage, sort of, because you get a Battle Hopper if you can pump that Battle Hopper somehow. Again, more Battle Hoppers, always good. Anything else to add there, Dan?
No, I like it. It's neat. I think the thing is, overall, with all these Battle Hoppers, I just want to have them all, and I want to craft some fun mono green hopper deck.
Have them all and just give them a big hug.
Yeah,
just get all cuddly with them and stuff. I know that's what all the girls want to do with them. Speaking of which, if you know a female that streams and does Hex content, get her in contact with me, because I still haven't had a female on my show.
Yeah,
and if you are a streamer and you want to be promoted, let me know, and you can just contact me, and I will get you on a show. So it doesn't have to be Golden Saucer guy all the time, you know?
Yeah, well, I'm only here, and just so everybody knows, like the people out there, you need to understand one very important thing. I don't come on the show because I have some weird preferential treatment here. I only come on because, you know, some people back out, or we don't have someone in a pinch. Yeah,
we have a bromance going on, but he's my backup dude, so, you know.
Right. It's just like, if you guys don't want to hear me anymore, then you need to stream and jump on the show.
We actually only have a couple more things to go through, so we're actually going to probably run through this deck, Doctor. Runier Burrowers, Tunneling 3. When it enters play, gains permanent +1/+1 for each other troop you control, and then you can tunnel it for 2. It's another bunny. Does some interesting things. Dodges Extinction. Anything else to add?
Nope, looks neat.
Crackling Sprout. This one is used a lot. Quick action +2/+2 and crush this turn. Also, you get to gain a charge, so you can save troops with it. It's really good. It's probably one of the best pumps right now that would be available. Anything else to add there?
No, I like this card. I will
amazing.
probably find a way to use it.
Killed
Yeah,
by it.
Yeah, 2/2 crush, gain a charge. Nothing about that is bad.
Yeah. Spirit Oracle is 5 and 1 wild. When you gain a charge, target troop gets permanent +1/+1, so 4/4. I mean, it's the same thing as Wild Root Dancer to me, so has some of the same drawbacks as it's removable and that type of thing. But other than that, I mean, 4/4 body is pretty solid. 4 toughness is really difficult to deal with. So anything else to add there? And it can buff itself, not like Wild Root Dancer, which cannot.
Just looking at it real quickly, I mean, you're looking at a 4/4/5, so the value's there. Gain a charge, or when you gain a charge, troop gets +1/+1,
including itself.
No. Right. I mean, I think this card could be good.
And then we're back. We looped around. Okay, so now we can go on to the deck, Doctor. We're gonna do this really fast. So here we got Scraptech Brawler, and we just want to basically build a ramp deck here, and we've got about 12 minutes to do it. Plus, I need to do the giveaway, and it looks like we've got only 10 people, so I'm going to be giving away sleeves tonight because I was looking for 20 to give away something cool like Broski Buck or a Gax from last year or another card. But anyways, we are just basically building a ramp deck, so we're just going to go down the line of the typical ramp cards that we see in a deck to kind of speed this along. So, so first things first, let's go ahead and we're going to throw some shards in here. We'll just throw 16 for now, and we'll go ahead and we're going to, do we want to go into Ruby? Yeah, we'll go into Ruby. Actually, we'll just do 10 and 10. Actually, we can do 8 and 8. Yeah, we'll do 8 and 8. That's what we'll do. So we'll do 8 and 8. And we'll figure this out at the end. I'm just doing this as a preliminary thing because we now have the the new shards that are dual shards that have been spoiled, one for each combination. Okay, let's go Ruby and no color and wild. Sets. If I go to Shattered Destiny, I'll be able to find it more easily. Okay, it'll be this one. Shard of the Ancients is our... is that right? That says blood. Do I have the right things clicked? Ruby. Wild. It must be just picking it up. Okay, let's see. There it is. Ruby or Wild. Shard of Savagery. That's our shard that we want in here.
Take it.
And we also want Shards of Fate. Probably. Maybe not. So there's actually now there's less of a reason to take Shards of Fate with these new shards because the new shards gain you charges and Shards of Fate doesn't. And shards yeah, it's kind of a big deal.
Right. Shards, I think the Shards of Fate are going to end up being the I'm running 4 or 5 color thing because I mean these shards are obviously really specific to 2, so Shards of Fate I think is going to be the 5 color fallback.
So another thing we can do is I'm going to try to run Tetzot because we'll probably run a lot of resources in here, but I'm not sure. You might want to actually run Running Deer in here and just go with the classic so you can gain life and stay in the game. Really not sure about that specifically. We're going to go ahead and run the classic, what is it? Well, yeah, we'll probably run Ragefire in here.
Yep.
For removal, because that's why we're in Ruby. We're to pick up that, and we also need the sweep, which I just forgot the name of again. I keep forgetting the name of this card. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and switch my thing off and let Golden Saucer Guy talk while I do some more.
Sure. All right, so we're gonna probably be looking for some of the staples that are in some of these ramp decks. We want to keep the deck nice and smooth, have a good curve. We know how much Aaron Squire loves his curve. So what we're looking at right now, I'm a few seconds behind on checking some of these things out, but so If we go for the champion, we're gaining 5 life. It keeps us in the game longer. We definitely like that. If you are right now, you have set up to do. Let's see what we have going on. We're going to go for 4 Ragefires.
Yeah, we got the 4 Ragefires in there. And what's the 2-point sweep? I always forget the name of it.
Heatwave.
Heatwave. That's the name. So much easier when I can remember names. Should have things memorized by now. You're right. You know.
Oh, dude, you are asking like the worst person. The only reason I know Heatwave is I've been playing with it all week, but I am so bad with name recollection. Like I'm sitting here trying to pull cards out, and I can't think of any.
Chlorophyllia is not coming up. Why? Because I'm looking at the deck.
Don't know.
We definitely want Chlorophyllia though. So
yep, it's a stable.
Ramp, and then we'll probably run some Battle Beetle with. We'll just make it so it's untargetable.
Okay.
That'll probably be.
I'm a fan. I like that one, and a close second, I like the Lava Axe version. I'm biased though.
The Lava Axe.
Yeah, where you drop it in so it does 5 damage when it comes into play.
Oh yeah, that's another way you could go. Jadiim, of course, is an easy choice here. She's very good for a 5 cost. I don't know. We probably won't want to run a Honeycap in here. We probably want to actually run the new Crackling Bolt in here.
Oh, definitely. That's got to be in there.
We basically want to have removal for everything our opponent does. What else could we run in here? Eye of Creation would be maybe a thing, but I don't know. We aren't really running enough troops to make it a thing in this deck.
Right. I mean, how many would you have to pay to really make it hit hard?
You'd have to do a lot. Sensei is a classic that we run in here just to filter through the deck, but I don't know if we even need him anymore because we have a lot of really good options now. Another thing we could run is the new guy that we were just looking at. You know, I think I closed it out too. Let me just pull it up. Let's go down to Wild. So we could run, and I'm going to go ahead and put this all on there, but we could run a Spirit Oracle at 5 as well. Because he dodges our Heat Wave, which is nice, and we could run him as well as Jadiim. Probably want to go ahead and run a Hex Engine, maybe 2 of these. And what else? What else do we want? Sometimes I like to run like a single dork at the bottom. So whatever it is. What's the guy at the bottom? It's man, it's not my night.
Yeah, I can't think of things. Yeah, I'm not good at this. I'm the last person.
We can run like a Wrathwood Colossus at the top end, like a single.
We have Shinsaku17 asking, how do I enter the giveaway?
How do you enter the giveaway? You make sure that you are subscribed to me on, or whatever, on Twitch. Do the thing, click on the button, and then I will do the giveaway after we. It'll actually be after the show closes out here, so it won't actually be on the. This won't get syndicated in YouTube. We're trying to finish the deck out here so we can kind of close out the episode. Ah, there he is, Howling Brave. Sometimes you can run more, but he doesn't dodge Heat Wave, but he's okay because I can still ramp in to do some things with him. Okenge maybe might be better. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, we're not running. Okenge. I like it if we have.
Right. Yeah, we need more
creatures.
Troops. Yeah.
But we don't have a lot to answer for that.
Puck maybe as a 2 of. It's another one that doesn't dodge our Heat Wave. That's can be problematic. Probably actually run a play set of Burn as well, just to take care of early drops.
I haven't seen anything that really beats Burn. I mean, 2 damage for 1. That's a good exchange.
Yeah, for sure. So I think this deck plus Crackling Bolt, and you're pretty much there. For a decent ramp deck, because you've got a lot of nice low end stuff. Another thing you could run is the library, the what is it called? Laboratory, Secret Lab. You could run Secret Lab in here as well. So let's see what our deck analysis is telling us. So we have 26 wild icons and then 20 ruby icons. So That's not bad because we kind of want to get the wild more. We want to play with more wild in the deck, so Chlorophyllia has things to hit on, and that's what we want to ramp with first, anyways. So this shouldn't actually be too bad. So what we'll probably do is maybe like 6-10. Now you could also run less Shards of Fate in here now that we have access to Shards of Savagery, which is going to give you more charges for your champion power. It depends on how important it is. We are running, let's see, that's 16, 20, 24 shards right now. So you might even up that to more. I'm not. You'd have to really play with the deck to feel it out, but the curve isn't too bad actually.
No, you're looking at, with the cost 1, 2, and 3, you have 23 cards inside of that range, and then after that, you only have 8 cards in the 4, 5, 6 range total.
Right.
And then 1, of course, in 8. So I think 24 is fine. You're going to be able to play most of your stuff.
You also have like 2 hex engines in here, so instead of that, you could like pull 1 hex engine and maybe. Oh, we forgot, and we're also running as a 2-point card. We're running Scraptech Brawler that's going to tunnel for 3 and give us 3 right away. So really, you're going to need to feel out this deck to figure out where you typically are hitting on things. Puck may actually not be as good compared to like Scraptech Brawler in this deck. Actually.
No, I don't really like Puck. I mean, you look at how many cards we have that activate it on,
really
and it's not a whole lot.
Yeah, so actually we could probably remove Puck completely and maybe even go up and play, like, get more gutsy with like Wrathwood Colossus and Jadiim or something like that. Yeah, if you're already following your set. We will do this right after the thing, but we're about to sign off here, and Golden Saucer Guy does have another call to get to, so he's going to sign out as well. So this is pretty much such is the life of popular people, I guess.
Right.
But I will go ahead and in the YouTube comments, it's going to be there. So make sure to check those comments to get the exact deck list, because not all the cards that we're talking about are on TCG Browser right now. I will also add reserves to this, but this is pretty much the ramp deck we built tonight. We went through a lot of cards tonight. I'll just go ahead and do a recap. Tonight we talked about some of the Hex news and some of the things that went on at GenCON. We went ahead and went over a lot of card spoilers, and then we talked about some of the top decks from the Hex Techs tournament that recently went on. We didn't talk about the PvE interview that Sirius did with Corey, but make sure to go into the website and check that out. And then at the very end, of course, we went through this in about 10 minutes. We built a ramp deck with the new Scraptech Brawler to help us ramp into some of these huge Wrathwood Colossi or Jadiims or other things like that. And so until next time, this is Aaron Squire signing off, saying God bless you and your families, and try not to rage too much out there.